guys can hear me. Somebody in chat, let me know if you're hearing audio. Good evening. Hopefully we have audio. And here we are. Okay. Well, I'm all discombobulated. Had a little coffee issue, but it's in front of me. Yeah, what we got? Everybody can hear me. Good. Thanks, Anne. Joni. Good evening, everyone. Family plan. Hey, the family plan is in the house. Who all got you? What did I miss? Yeah, okay. Well, welcome, guys and gals. I appreciate it. I had a little bit of a a coffee crisis going on. For some reason, when I was making the coffee, I had my grinder and the cup next to each other, and I took the coffee beans, and instead of putting them in the grinder, I put them in my coffee cup, and I filled my coffee cup up with the coffee beans to grind, and then realized I'd made a mistake. So I then took the coffee cup and poured it back into the bag of beans, and I didn't realize that there was actually liquid old coffee in the cup. So I poured all this old coffee and beans into the coffee beans. So, crisis. Anyways, that's my big story for the evening, guys. Okay, well, we've got a whole bunch of people in here tonight. That's awesome. I'm just checking chat over here, guys. What we got? Adam S. Good after evening, everyone. Yeah, I know it's so confusing. Hey, there's a bunch of time zones going on tonight, no doubt. Thanks for swinging in, Adam. Appreciate it, man. Anthony Z, audio is good. Merry Christmas and a prosperous New Year for you. Anthony Z, thank you, man. I appreciate that. I know it's, I'm sure a lot of us say this, but definitely the older you get, the quicker things go by. And I can't believe it feels like Christmas. And last year, or New Year's was just a few days ago. And here we are again. It's just going by. Jim Emerson. Good evening to you, sir. Welcome. Who else we got here? Whispering Vine Studio. Hey, welcome back. Nice to have you back. Thank you. Who we got? Mr. Gas. A whole bunch of familiar names. It's nice to see regulars popping in again, guys. So I appreciate you guys. Natal. Hello and Merry Christmas to everybody. What? Check this guy out. That's so funny. He's, Ranger's not allowed up here. He's never up here. But when I start streaming, because I've let him up here a couple times during streams, he now knows that, stream time is Ranger time. I don't know if I should let him get away with it. Okay, where are we? Yes, double brewed. Yeah, I know. I've got a bunch of mushy, wet coffee beans now in this bowl. I know this looks like a dog bowl, guys. It's actually my bowl. This is the only food bowl I have. It's weird. I either eat out of a food bowl or I eat out of the pot. There's no fancy cutlery and plates, fine china around here, guys. I'll have to deal with the wet beans after stream. Okay, double brewed, yes. Love the lights backdrop. Yeah, well, these were actually Christmas lights, Joni, and well, I don't know. I said they wouldn't become permanent, but they're kind of growing on me. So, it's a great ambience I have here in the evenings now. Jim, good day, sir, or good evening. Thanks for swinging by. Yeah, hey, Ranger, Mr. Gas says hello. Uh, oh, a whole bunch of hellos for Ranger. Too bad he can't read. Uh, Straight to the garden compost. No, you think I got to waste my beans, my coffee beans, Adam? I don't know. I'm getting low on coffee, guys. I've got maybe another week and a half or two of coffee beans here, and then I'd have to go rob a bank and buy some more. Pro Gun Fred, well, it's been a long time, sir. Thank you. The legend, Pro Gun Fred, thank you for swinging by, mate. Appreciate it. And yeah, thanks for sharing the feed. I appreciate it, mate. Okay, let's have a sip of my coffee here since I worked very hard for it. Low on coffee, yikes! I know. It is my fuel here. I have two fuels, and that's well, gasoline and coffee. There was a time, most of my adulthood, I actually went without coffee, did not drink coffee, and then long shift watches in the middle of nowhere, trying to stay awake. I got onto the whole coffee thing. Of course, now I'm dead inside, guys. I can drink coffee and literally go to bed. It's true. Hopefully you guys will have some coffee or your favorite libation. So yeah, folks, what I've been doing on is working on an intro video for the channel. I used to have a video that popped up every time somebody came to the channel, a video that was like a minute long or something, and it was kind of dated, and I think there were a few spots where I was cussing in the video, and the video is like 8 or 10 years old, and I just felt it needed to be updated, and I've kind of moved on from the person that was in those early videos, and the cussing just didn't sit well with me, especially, it was a video that everybody was watching, or a lot of people were watching when they landed on the channel. So I'm working on an update for that, and that's what we're going to watch tonight. It's actually quite long. It's too long for an intro video, but it's work in progress, and I thought I'd just show you guys the video, and you can give me your input. It actually has an audio soundtrack to the video, but I can't include the audio soundtrack in the video just because of copyright issues. I can't play the audio while streaming. I can license it when I upload it, but so it may seem a little discombobulating, but keep in mind it's just an intro video giving folks an idea of my time on YouTube and the various things I've done, and it's missing an audio track, so keep that in mind. Yeah, guys, so apologize, there's nothing new or fresh happening tonight. I'm a little behind on creating some videos here, so I have some things planned for the future, upcoming week show, which we'll get some videos out and some get rolling again with the video stuff. Okay, so what else we got over here? Don't lick me, buddy. A Ranger, every time I shower, he gets pretty excited for some reason. He's got to sniff and attempt to lick me, and it's kind of weird. These streams now, I was thinking a little early on as I was getting ready, and for some of you may not know, for me, just having a shower requires making a fire outside, collecting snow in a pot, and then melting the snow, and so it's quite a process just to get showered. And fortunately it's been raining, guys, so I managed to put one of my pots I use on the stove underneath the gutter, and there's been a slow steady drop of water, drip drip drip, all day. So I've managed to collect 2 pots of water, shower water, that way. I know, it's so exciting. So where was I going with this conversation? Yeah, so it was funny. I was thinking about these streams. It's a half-day process for me, or a few hours at least, to now I feel I need to get showered for the stream. It's like I'm going on a date, guys, and you know, I need to get clean and, you know, wash the beard and hair and you know, get everything ready for the stream. It's weird. So, anyways, good. No comments on my shower habits or anything like that. Oh, that's good. Did I miss any chats over here? A lot of YouTubes have a peer box. Do you have one? Yes, Anthony Z, I do. If you look in the description to this video, to the stream, you will find my peer box in there. And just keep in mind, I don't check mail, you know, regularly. My mail checks at the most, or maybe 4 times a month, or maybe twice a month. So I do enjoy old school letters, folks. If anybody wants to, you know, hand write me a letter or a postcard, you know, I really look forward to that. It's nice to do a trip into town, which is, you know, like a 30-mile trip for me, and to find some mail. Often I go there and there's no mail. Yeah, there's 1 or 2 garbage mails, you know, but it is nice to get letters from folks. Gives me something to get excited about and journey home and, you know, look forward to getting showered and opening up some letters. You know, it's the little things that, you know, start to matter out here, folks, that you start to appreciate. Okay. Do you use solar generator? And if so, what brand? Yeah, Mr. Gas. I have 4 solar panels. I'm currently only using 3, and they're the Renogy brand of solar panel. I've been sitting on them. Well, I sat on them for a year or 2 before I even pulled them out. So, you know, they may be a generation older of what Renogy is doing now, but they work fine. They're 100-watt panels, and you know, this time of the year it's a little rough for me the way I have my solar panels situated. I really need good sun to charge them up, or charge my solar generators, which is what I live on. I need good sun, and most days up here, these gray overcast days are not good. I can't really depend on solar panels this time of the year. Even though there's light out there when it's gray and overcast, they really aren't putting out a lot, you know, with the 300 or the 100-watt panels that I have. I can improve the solar situation here. I could, you know, locate the solar panel somewhere else that would do a better job, and, you know, fire up the 4th panel and have 400 watts instead of 3. But I am finding that this time of the year I do use the generator, you know, 2 or 3 times a week, and I'll charge the batteries that way using the generator. I just can't depend on sun this time of the year. Now, summer and spring, it's not an issue. I can literally live on 300 watts of solar panels, but this time of the year it can be a little rough. So Renogy's been pretty good for me, and I also have 3 of the gel or deep cell gel batteries that Renogy makes, and I'll be honest with you, I'm not actually using them. I have these 2 solar generators which I live off, and I'm charging when I can. So anyways, so yeah, hopefully folks, you're ready for a video here. It's only 9 minutes, so yeah, that's good, right? You don't have to sit through a painful 20-minute video again. So it's 9 minutes, and like I say, guys, keep in mind this is just meant to be a you know, a welcome video that'll be on my channel. Anybody who arrives on the channel will see this video. So it's work in progress. And if you guys have any ideas or even questions on what you see, there's some old stuff in this video that goes back to, you know, my first few YouTube videos, and there's some newer stuff here towards the end of the video you guys will recognize, and it, you know, may not be that interesting to you, but I just thought I'd share this since it's something I'm working on, and you know, I'll take any input you guys have. So let's do it. Let's fire up the video, and yeah, let's do it. if I can find it. I should be getting better at this, guys. Stream video. Let's go. Try not to fall on my... Right, so hey chat, let me know if the audio is good on the video, if you can hear the audio. Thank you. Okay, so today's job is attaching these sill logs to these logs on top of the forms. Now it's time to chisel. We're going to take a chisel. Remember this line we stayed away from, our old scribe line? We're going to chisel to that scribe line, right? Well guys, I'm pretty much done for the day. As you can see, I got both these notches done on either end, got the lateral notch done. That's my view for the evening. Well, that was bound to happen. Whew. So glad I captured that on camera. Yeah. Down there we have the old Hennessy hammock. Sweet deal. Everything's insulated, walls are insulated. I've kept it really simple, so here's the big reveal. Bam! Well, well, well. What do you think, Liz? or cut your slices with the grain. Well, hi there. What do you think about my pile of wood? It's pretty cool, huh? Almost forgot the camera. Okay. Well, guys, so I'm guessing I'm gonna do a little bit of digging here, and we'll go from there. I know. It's exciting, isn't it? You get a treat. You get a treat. You get a treat. Yeah. And we're just on our way home, halfway. What? What do you want? Is there something I can do for you? Yeah? Or you want dinner? You hungry? You hungry? You tired? You need a back massage or something? You know, hard drives and USB drives I have laying around, and I was hoping to find that shot, and I did. But it was interesting going through all the old clips. You know, I've been doing this for about 10 years now. If you had told me 10 years ago this is what I'd be doing, I would have been surprised. But anyways, yeah, Anthony Z, I remember these videos. Yeah, I mean, like I say, Been doing it for about 10 years. I couldn't find the earliest video that I did, which was just some random camping back when I still lived in Seattle. A lot of the footage that I've taken over the years has just disappeared, and so I don't fret about it though. Okay. Whispering Vine Studio. I remember the mountain goats. Yeah, that's a spot in northern Idaho called oh, the name eludes me right now. It's fairly near a town called Hope, near Sandpoint, and it's just a beautiful mountain. And yeah, the goats up there, they do encounter humans, and they've learned over the years that humans are quite salty. So there's a few of those goats that will try and get uncomfortably too close to you, and try and get a lick of your leg or arm, because yeah, apparently we taste good. Salty thing, I guess. And I had that one goat I remember as a Billy. He just kept on hanging around me all night long. I woke up and he was eventually gone. But all afternoon and all evening, he just stood outside this little rock shelter that sits on top of that mountain, and he was like standing guard. But I was worried that he'd attempt to lick me to death as I slept. Yeah, Whispering Vine Studio Ranger is so happy. Yeah, I mean, he's like most dogs. He's happy all the time, but he's also very, very ornery. He needs to be worked, like I've mentioned a lot of times. If he does a lot of sitting around, not good. Family Pan, nice recap. Yeah, I think there's a few things I would like to add in there. Maybe what that log cabin looked like, and a scenic shot of the completed log cabin. Perhaps dump in a few images of that. Yeah, Progun, no, hang on. Mr. Gas. The goat was one of the coolest things I've ever seen. Yeah. Those goats are weird. Like I said, they will get uncomfortably close to you. It is, that route is frequented by, hikers and backpackers. So those goats have become quite accustomed to folks. Not a lot of people will overnight there. It's not really an overnighter. It takes you quite time, like half a day to get up there, and then a little quicker to get down. But most folks don't camp up there, let alone attempt to haul a mountain bike up to the top. I thought it would be fun, and I ended up pushing my mountain bike up there. I've actually done that trip a few times. I just didn't film them all. But that particular one, I pushed my mountain bike up 90% of the way. There was no riding up. I thought I'd be riding up at least half of it, but it was pushing it 90% up, and I'd say carrying it 50% of the way down. 50-60% of it was carried heading down that mountain. Just too rocky and insane to ride it all the way down, which I was hoping for. Yeah, the goat video is pretty cool. Jim, I've observed the bighorn sheep in northeast Nevada, like the goats. Incredible climbers. They can climb in a few minutes what would take us hours. Yeah, it's true. I mean, they're pretty amazing. You saw on that one, he did this leap within just a foot to very quickly a couple inches from the edge of a cliff, and he did it like it was nobody's business. They're so sure-footed. I've seen them standing on the side of cliffs. I have some more footage somewhere. Unfortunately, I didn't find it. But I have some footage of these mountain sheep standing on a vertical wall on ledges that look to be like 2 or 3 inches wide, making their way up. It's pretty insane. Hey, Joni, thanks for swinging by. Good night. Appreciate you popping in. Next time. Yeah, we actually have a few around here. Actually, I haven't seen them for the last year. They'd be crossing the highway pretty regularly. I don't know if they've been taken out. I've seen a few of them taken out on the highway, which I often traverse on. But actually, when I think about it, I haven't seen them this season. Either they moved on or got chased out by people, you know. Like most of North America and all the nice areas, you know, people are wanting to move out here. And I'm finding even in my area, small rural towns, just, you know, more and more people moving out, unfortunately. So they often chase the wildlife out as they arrive. Yeah. So yeah, guys, I have a few more hiking trips planned and some fishing trips that we'll be getting some footage of. And you know, hopefully I'll be catching and not just fishing. I seem to have not the greatest luck. I won't pretend to be a great fisherman. Now, I spent quite a bit of time out at sea doing deep sea fishing, and I'm pretty comfortable there, but I'm still getting my head around, you know, fishing rivers, fast flowing rivers and small streams. It definitely requires, I don't think I put enough effort into this river fishing, and I'm just using a lure. I'm not fly fishing. I'm not that fancy. I don't have that kind of money. So I don't want to insult fly fishermen, but I know a few, and I feel like it's like jewelry. It's like jewelry collecting or jewelry making. A lot of these guys are quite obsessive about their fly fishing and every little minutia about it, especially the flies, and the ones that do tie their own flies can be quite passionate. It's like jewelry for men. I mean that respectfully, of course, guys. But I don't believe, oh, I shouldn't say never, but I don't believe fly fishing's for me. So I'm a lure kind of guy. And, you know, there's a bit of skill with reading the rivers, looking for eddies, looking for spots to fish where the fish would congregate. There's quite a bit just to fishing rivers with lures. And honestly, I'm definitely a saltwater guy, especially when it comes to what the fish taste like. I prefer saltwater fish. I think they taste better. But yeah, every now and again I throw in cast a line in the rivers around me here, and most of the time I don't catch. It's definitely fishing and not catching for me. So we're going to give it a go again here. Yeah. So we'll have some videos upcoming on that. Also, yeah, the weather's been quite miserable up here, guys. We've had everything from snow, and then rain, and then ice. You know, after this time of the year when you have a lot of rain, and then things, you know, the temperatures drop, the roadways and everything gets just super slick. So, and then we had another snow dump, and soon after it just started raining. Right now it's drizzling outside, which is great for collecting water for showers, but it just creates a lot of mush up here. I'm dying to fire up the new snowmobile, as some of you guys may know. I have a new used snowmobile, which I really haven't ridden yet, just because you know, there's a lack of snow. There's snow, but not enough snowmobiling. So it's just one of these dirty, muddy, squishy, smushy times right now. I'm not a big fan. I'd rather have one or the other. Actually, if we're going to have rain, I'd prefer it to be at the end of winter or in spring. Help get rid of snow. But yeah, Jim, in my backpacking adventures, I found the wild mountain fish won't take bait or lures. They go for flies. Fish that are planted will go for anything. Yeah, that's true, Jim. I've done a few lakes in northeast Washington and around here, and lures just struggle. I have had quite a bit of success with salmon eggs. I remember years ago, I was still kind of new to this. Well, older than, I don't know, 12, 13 years ago when I was still, living in Seattle, and I was the weekend warrior. I used to disappear on my long weekends out into the mountains, and I was in the spot near an area called Winthrop, Washington, an alpine lake. I don't remember the name of it. And there were a handful of people there all attempting to fish this alpine lake. Nobody was catching anything and I was there for 4 days watching everybody. And then this hippie couple arrived, like a legit hippie couple, living in their van. And all of a sudden they started pulling fish out. I was watching from my campsite, and I'd been speaking to everybody else who'd been, fishing with lures and the synthetic bait, that colored putty stuff. I forget what it's called, but nobody was catching. This hippie couple arrives and starts catching. And so I went down and chatted to them, and they were using salmon eggs. And over the years, I actually have a couple jars of salmon eggs in my fishing kit, and I'll have some luck using salmon eggs when I can't get anything on a lure, traditional, casting lure. So, but you're right, Jim, on that one. Whispering Vine Studio, fish the bends in the river or right below the bend. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, Kipster. Hey, good evening, Kipster. I saw a vid that Tom Orr on Mountain Men was taken to Libby when he had a medical emergency because that was the nearest hospital. The video said he lived near the Kootenai National Forest. Yeah, I'm vaguely familiar with this Tom Orr guy. I've heard his name before. I know he was on a television show. I vaguely know of the show. It's not anything that I've watched, but I know the area that he lived in. It's not far from me, actually. I'm on the other side of the forest that they talk about. His region, he's like over here, and I'm on the other side of that forested range area. Yeah, Jim, I don't have any fancy fly fishing gear. In the mountains, I jerry rig my 5-piece backpack and use flies. Gotcha. Yeah, I mean, my fish kit is always in the van with me, and I do occasionally stop when I'm traveling to town or back or on a journey, and I'll cast. But I would say 70% of the time I don't catch anything. That's just the truth. Maybe I should get into fly fishing. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, what else we got? Yeah, we have quite a salmon run that happens fairly near where I'm at, and I've been meaning to do that. I think it's maybe in September, where the salmon are running upstream, and it's very popular. I think it's between Libby, Montana, and Troy. There's some falls down there that I guess are made popular by. There's a movie, and they used those falls. So it gets really popular, and a lot of people go there because of that. I mean, I guess it's pretty scenic, but when the salmon are running and the hordes go there with you can basically hook the salmon with a pole and a big hook on the end. They just gaff the salmon out of the water as they try to make their way up. And the only thing that turns me off about that is the masses of people. Not a fan. Kipser, had any scary encounters with bear or mountain lion? Kipser, I haven't had any scary encounters. I mean, I've had encounters, but never a time when I felt overly threatened. Years ago, I was doing some work for a mining company, and basically we were doing geological work. I was what they called a field tech. And what we would do is walk these grid patterns using a GPS. We'd walk grid patterns taking soil samples. So we would dig every 25 or 50 feet, depending on how they laid the grid pattern out. We would dig down into the soil. We'd have to go a certain depth and get a soil sample in a little bag, close up the bag and put it in the backpack. And we'd continue doing this all day long. It was pretty grueling work. I'd probably say after a year of that, I was probably in the best shape I'd ever been, hauling dirt over over mountains, through forests, over obstacles, climbing. But it was during one of these trips where I was out in the boonies collecting dirt, and I stopped for a second on this old skidway, an old forestry skidway. So a path one could walk, an old roadway, but with new growth trees, but it's a great way to sort of maneuver through the forests. And I stopped at this little opening, and I was just taking a break, and suddenly the hairs on the back of my neck just stood up, and I turned around, and no kidding, about, I don't know, 50, 60 feet behind me was this cougar. And I'd never seen a cougar that close, and it was sitting like a domestic cat, just, on its haunches, just sitting in the pathway I just walked on. So either it crossed my path or was following me, but I turned around and it was just sitting staring at me, and we locked eyes. And that was the only time, because it was so, I thought I was alone, everything was quiet, and all of a sudden it's there. It was quite a shock, but when you get that tingly feeling and your hairs stand up. And I remember thinking, what do I do? Actually, no, the first thing I thought is, what is that? Is that a bobcat? And I was like, that's a massive bobcat. It was pretty big. I mean, as it was sitting there, its head would probably be at my waist. And that's the only time I thought, do I run? What's going to happen now? And we locked eyes for about 5 seconds, and 8 seconds, and it just then bolted down the mountain. It just got up and sped off, and as it did that, I felt the need to do the same thing. So that was the only time. I've had encounters with cats before. I've seen them. They've run across my pathway in front of me, but I've never been surprised like that with one just sitting behind me, a pathway I just walked on. And then I've had some bear issues. I had this little coop, this hoop house just outside the window here. Used to be the chicken coop before I built the new one. And I had a bear getting up that came multiple evenings trying to get up and get into that coop. So I eventually had to bring out the boomstick and walk out there and fire a few rounds to scare it off. It never came back. The same thing happened a few years ago in my old log cabin. A bear just cruising the hood. I actually had a salt block which I'd left out for deer, and it was just a stone's throw away from, at the time I was living in a tent on the property while I was building, and I had a salt block. This is the beginning of winter, and I would have this bear that would come out, and it would bring its cubs. So it was a mama with 2 cubs would come out there, and she was always off in the background, but the 2 cubs would come up to the salt block, and they would sit there and lick the salt block as we were in the tent. This is also pretty much out in the boonies. So and eventually I had to chase that one off because it kept on coming into to the garbage and routing around. And so let's just say I had to put some hurt on that bear because it wouldn't leave. And so I used some very light bird shot, little peppering on the butts. I know that sounds cruel, but that was actually suggested to me by the park ranger. So we had to put a little bit of hurt on that one to discourage it from coming back. But yeah, I've had again bear across my pathway, either in the distance or mid distance. But they typically go their way, and they don't want to interact with you unless you surprise them, and that's never happened for me. Yeah. But being out in the woods on your own, miles from anybody, and turning around and finding a big cougar just sitting there like a domestic cat watching you was. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up now thinking about it. Wolves are something I've seen here. I woke up one evening, my security light came on, and my bed is at a window just like you guys see over here. I pretty much sleep here on the other side, and I opened the curtain, and the wolves were literally 15 feet from me at my little gate and fenced area here. Two of them, and it must have been about 4 a.m. in the morning. So I've had them run past me. Fortunately, I was in the pickup truck, just down here, just run up the bank right in front of the truck as I was starting to move. Lots of coyotes, but never any moments where I thought I needed to, there was danger. Yeah, I used to see a lot more critters, closer encounters when without a dog. But I think Ranger, he scents up the area pretty good, either with poops and peeing everywhere. And I think for the most part, the other critters know something's here. And, he'll go out and bark regularly in the evening. So the critters that are in the area know there's something here. And definitely less encounters moving around with Ranger. What did I miss here? I was babbling on quite a bit there, guys. Adam S. Good night, everyone. Time to take the kids out and get rid of those zoomies. Not sure what that is, but hey, thanks, Adam S. I appreciate it, man. I really appreciate you stopping by every single time. Thanks. Okay, Whispering Vine Studio. Gotcha. Night, Adam. Family plan. That is close enough to count as a close call. Yeah. Yeah, I guess we can call it a close call. And at the time, we did. I did reach out to the ranger, and he said often cats will stalk something they're interested in, and it's rare that they're that close and let you see them. And so quite often he says, and it was the time of the year that it was possible it was a mama and may have had kids. So it's possible, according to the ranger, that she was just curious as to what I was doing and getting closer than usual because of potential kids nearby, a den nearby. And his advice to us was, if it happens again, is to perhaps leave that area for a while and go and work in another area. So I don't think we did that. We just continued that area, and there was no incidences. We were there for several weeks, so in the general area. So, but boy, was I looking behind me more regular than usual. It's just every 2 minutes. Anyways, where we at? Never run from a cat. Yeah, that's true. I mean, well, I was frozen. Yeah, I was pretty frozen. There's no running. That sense of literally, what is the saying? Freezing, being frozen by fear. I mean, my mind was spinning at 1,000 miles an hour, thinking about options, and an interesting side story. When I'm that far out in the boonies, I always have a pistol with me. It's just, I mean, I live with a pistol on my hip. It's just an extension of me now, and it's just the way it is. But the company that I was working for at the time was owned by it was what they call a junior mining company, and And what junior mining companies do is typically they go out and proof the ground. They find the claims and do all the scientific study and work, proving that there's good potential for gold or whatever they're looking for. And they'll do the claims and then sell those claims to a legitimate, a large, an actual mining company that digs holes and does drilling. So I was working for a junior mining company trying to proof gold in this area, and it was owned by a Canadian who was dead set against firearms. And so it was a company policy to be out in the boonies, and we weren't allowed to have any firearms on us. So, which is, I mean, okay, but kind of silly. They, I don't think they're wired the same as you know, as we are here in the States regarding firearms. Hey, buddy. Is something I can help you with? Anyways, where were we? What's the deal? I don't know what Range is up to. Do you want something? Can't drink that, mate. Sorry. Let's move that out of the way. He's putting his paw on on my hand. What, bud? What do you want? Oh yeah, sorry guys. I know it's so unprofessional. Ranger, you're being very unprofessional now. No. No. Okay, awkward. He was telling me he's such a happy, good boy. Okay, no. You want to say hello? There's the camera. Say cheese. Okay, where were we? Sorry, guys. Never run from a cat. Yeah. One time, turkey hunting, worked up a canyon. Came back down and saw big cat tracks over my boot prints. Never saw the cat. They are usually pretty elusive. They are. And when you see a cat, it's that close. It pretty much wants you to see it. I do feel there's been a couple times over the years where I've known there's something, just through like noise and then movement through the woods. And I've known something's there, but I haven't seen it. Jim Emerson, I've heard if you have chickens, that is pretty much a bear magnet. Haha, yeah, well. I had a bear go through my chicken coop on my old property. It was a hoop house like that, and it just had chicken wire on each end, with a kind of a flimsy door in the front, framed door, but it was all chicken wire. And this bear went through the chicken wire in the front where the door was, went through the chicken coop and went out the back, which had some metal and chicken wire. It was quite did quite a bit of damage in there. Chicken wire is not going to hold a bear back. That's why if you look at some of my videos and footage on my chicken coop that I have built, it's pretty robust and it's overbuilt. But I assume that at some point while I'm not up here, a large bear may attempt to get in there. So it's very much overbuilt. Kipster, have you seen the videos on YouTube showing off-grid people drilling their own wells either by sledgehammer or using an electric drill? Yeah, Kipster, I've seen guys attempt to do this. You'll notice on the guys who attempt to drill their own wells, they don't live on a mountain. But it is interesting, and I guess if you're in the right spot, it is possible to drill your own well. But that's definitely not an option for me up here. Like I've said before, anytime you dig around here, you hit a boulder or a fairly large rock. And I know this because I've done a lot of digging around here, and it's pretty tough on using a shovel up here. You're going to hit something pretty quick. The amount of poles I've had to move because I simply can't dig a hole for them, and I have to adjust my plan just to get around the rocks. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Those guys who manage to do it themselves. Knowing something is tracking, watching you is spooky, unnerving. Yeah, it is. Ranger wants dad attention. Yeah. Well, like I say, he's not allowed up here any other time, but I guess streams now. When I start talking to the screen in front of me, he kind of knows now that he can get away with stuff. You know, I don't want to be unprofessional and argue with my dog on stream, guys. Anyways, yeah, some good questions coming here, guys. I can only keep going as long as there's questions. I see the viewers have gone up. We've had anything from 8 viewers up to 25 viewers. We're down to 15 now. So I know there's a few of you still hiding there. I call you lurkers. The lurkers are there watching but not partaking. So feel free to come out, lurkers, and say something. Say hi or not. Did I miss any good chats? Nope. Yeah, okay. Well, guys, how long have we been going over here? It's 7:30. I've got like 4 clocks around here, and we can throw in my truck clock, and they're all different. I never adjust them. There's only one I can rely on, and that's automatic. It adjusts itself, but I'm always looking at different times, and of course, with Starlink, my computer thinks I'm somewhere else other than where I'm at, so it sets its time to do something else as well. So it's so confusing as to what the real time is. Any luck with the job search? No, Kipster. Job search has been a little rough, sir. It's I have quite a few limitations up here just with my distance to get to town. And there's just nothing available immediately around me. I'd have to look towards town, and this time of the year it's a bit rough. So yeah. Hey, which brings me to, guys, I have to show, but if anybody's willing to support the channel, in the description to the stream there is a support link or a direct support link in the description, guys. If you'd like to or able to, please consider helping the channel out. Helping the channel out is helping me out. Yeah, you can use that link. I also have memberships to my channels, which you can look into. There's links down there how to become a member, and there's 3 different options, guys. You can for less than the cost of a coffee, you could be a member, and I shoot out some videos to members that are members only, and they're usually shorter videos, shorter clips about what I'm doing around here, and members get those. So consider that if you want to support me. But yeah, in the description. And with that, we'll move on. Okay, where have you taken any game this year? I didn't. Mr. Gas. I'm more of a bird guy at this point. I have a very small refrigerator, and space to deal with large chunks of meat. So I just didn't this year, but you never know. Well, we got you. Haven't collected all those soil samples. Did you learn how to detect possible gold spots? Well, yeah, that whole process, family plan, is quite interesting when you're looking for gold. I'll try not bore you guys. Some of you may be interested in this. In the process of claim staking and looking for gold. So when it comes to sort of companies or large entities, I'm not talking about Joe Schmo trying to do a claim down at the river and panning for fun. But typically what companies do, these junior mining companies, they typically run by geologists who, you know, look at rock formations and geology and historical evidence, and they decide on an area that they want to prove for or find gold in, or an area they think gold's in. And they typically start off with what's called soil samples. And that's people on feet walking these grid patterns, taking soil samples. And this will take months, actually years, to, depending on the size of the area. But it always starts up with people on foot taking soil samples. These soil samples are then taken back to lab. And the technology now has changed where we have, desktop equipment that can look at these soil samples. So somebody who's running the lab, or they call them assay labs, which is work that I've done, you'll take the soil samples, and every soil sample, when you bag these soil samples out in the field, you give it a number which corresponds with, the grid where you took that sample. That then goes back to the lab, and the lab painstakingly, each bag is opened, the number is recorded off that little bag, and they run a test on that sample, and it's looking for different metals in that sample, everything from quartz to just the soil quality. There's various telltales in soil samples that support this is good gold bearing area. So once this data is laid out, the software looks at all these data and these grid patterns, it's able to look at trends. Okay. Once they start seeing trends, the next thing they'll go to, which is another area I've done, is using magnometers. And these can be either in helicopters or backpacks. And I've spent months walking around with 70-pound backpacks, 60, 70-pound backpacks with this big antenna on it that has a loop. And again, now you start walking these grid patterns again, overlaid on where you took the soil samples, and this magnometer shoots down. This probably explains why I don't think clearly anymore, but it's sending down a radio signal into the earth, and it's looking at ground or rock densities. And so you're just walking miles and miles and doing these grid patterns, 12, 15-hour days. And you try and walk these straight lines and stick to the grid with this gear shooting off, signal into the ground, and then, collating that signal. Again, that goes to the lab, and again, through software, is overlaid over your grid pattern. So these are relatively low-cost ways. So when the data, the soil sample data is overlaid, or the magnometer readings are overlaid, the soil sampling patterns, they can look and see if there's more trends. The other thing they'll do now, things get a little more expensive, is bring in a helicopter. And these helicopters are pretty cool to watch. They have this giant ring. It could be, a 20-foot ring that's underneath the helicopter on cables hanging below the helicopter. And they then fly the area that you've been soil sampling and using the magnometers on for months. This helicopter will fly and pretty much do the same thing the backpacks do, but at much higher frequency. So now we're like in this third step now. We've gone from soil samples to backpack magnometers to now helicopter flying. Once they feel that, wow, the data is all pointing to, a great sampling here, the last thing they start doing, and this is the most expensive in exploration, gold exploration, and that is bring in drillers. And again, this can take months because, the driller has to get his truck and gear and guys into, some difficult areas at times. And they start physically with their drilling rigs, start drilling soil samples where the geologists have determined are the best areas based on all this work we've done for a year before. And this isn't done in a couple of weeks or a couple months. So now the drillers start drilling, and this is where the expense really comes in. Drillers are not cheap. You know, they have a crew and gear which breaks and blades. It's quite an intensive work. It's quite an operation to be drilling out in the boonies. And they'll drill multiple holes, and as these bits come out, they're sent again to the lab, and the labs are usually mobile nearby. They're set up. They may rent a home and some property, and the company sets up the lab in in the garage or in tents, and so the assay lab again is now looking at all these samples. The geologists are the rock nerds, as we used to call them. The rock nerds are now staring at these core samples, these core samples of rock. They're looking at this, looking at all the data, and eventually, they hopefully hit gold veins in these core samples. That's what they're physically looking to pull out a core sample and find gold veins. So it's quite a process. It could be, multiple months and a year to multiple years, depending on the operation and people. But it's quite a fascinating thing. Once these junior mining companies figure out or have proof that they have gold and hit a good vein, they attempt to sell those mining rights and claim staking claims to a larger company that physically is a mining operation with equipment, gears, trucks, big concerns. So that's how it works. I forgot step one of this whole operation, which is before soil sampling, it's just walking the grids and looking at rocks. Usually geologists do that, and the rock nerds are out there just sniffing and licking rocks. Rock nerds are pretty weird. Anyways, hopefully that made sense to you guys. It was quite an interesting time for me, a couple of years of doing that. But I was definitely in the top-notch shape of my life. Just everything was good. Cardio, hauling backpacks up and down mountains, guys, is probably the best overall body strengthening you can do. And ladies, I guess, get massive calves and thighs. Okay, trip down memory lane. Where are we? I'm losing track of chat over here. Okay, maybe I didn't. Nobody's chatting. Okay. Having collected all those soil samples, did you learn to detect possible gold spots? Not really. I was out there just to do the hard labor. It's very difficult without digging and looking at geologist charts and maps. Of course, the rock nerds are able to look at trends just walking, looking at rock outcrops and just rocks laying on the ground. They're able to get an idea if there's potential. I have never done any stream or creek or panning and looking at things like that. But there's a definite a science, an academic study of just knowing what you're looking at in the ground. But personally, I mean, I could walk over some gold ground and not know I was walking over it. There were some rocks that I could identify back then. Having a brain issue now, a blonde moment as to the names of these rocks. But anyways, yeah, thanks for calling me out there, Family Guy. Appreciate it. Yeah, Mr. Gas, very interesting to me. Yeah, it's actually a very interesting line of work to get into, guys. Oh, there's more here. It's a very interesting line of work. I mean, paid pretty well for if you like abusing yourself with heavy backpacks of dirt for 12, 14 hours a day. It can be quite fun. But yes, there's quite a bit of scientific study into proofing ground. It's a lot of man hours, a lot of physical man hours before you even start putting holes in the ground. Pro Gun Friend sent you a few bucks in cash. Cheers. Hey, Pro Gun Fred, man, I appreciate that. I don't have that right in front of me, but I won't look now. It's rude. But I really appreciate that, man. You have no idea. Seriously, thank you. Jim Emerson just sent a donation on PayPal. Coffee money. Don't want the coffee meter to get low. Thanks for being an inspiration. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year, brother. Jim, thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's very kind of you guys. You know, it still feels weird for me to have to, you know, shill or talk about, hey guys, if you want to support me, you know, look in the description. It's not natural to me. It's not really my thing. I only carry on a bit about it, but you know, it's what I'm attempting now. Things are a little rough just with where I live, the time of year. So I thank you guys, those who have reached out and supported me that way. You have no idea. I mean, it means the difference between getting gas and not getting, you know, gas. Or anyways. So thank you guys. Okay, Kipster. Thanks for all the stories. Oh, TTWM. Yeah, mate, thank you. Did I miss something else from you there? I spent 2 months in Seattle over the summer. You don't need to tell you, but you're not missing anything. Oh yeah. Sorry guys. Yeah, I might be repeating myself. I've told the story before, but you know, I did spend 8 years in Seattle, and I kind of saw. I was there just before the. You know, Seattle's always been an interesting town, but I was there just before the homeless thing went, you know, skyrocketed. You know, like tent cities. I was there before that, and started to see the. When I left, it had started, but I can tell you, there was a time one evening I was sitting in my vehicle, late at night in the driver's seat, and I was watching my rearview mirror, and I could see this gang of kids working their way down the street, opening doors. There were probably about 5 or 6 of these kids just working the street, going to each car, checking the door, and and I'm sitting in my car in the driver's seat. The next minute, these kids get to my driver's seat, and I'm looking at the kid. He's looking at me, and he's trying to open the door. And I'm sitting in the car. That's Seattle. It's pretty shocking with what's going on there. Yeah, I haven't been there for many years, but I've seen some stuff that's just horrific. Pretty sad. Because Seattle is quite a beautiful city, and there's some areas in Seattle where you can stand and see the beautiful Olympics there, and there's Mount Rainier there, and you can look down at the Puget Sound. Everything's beautiful and green, and the geography is just stunning, but the rest of it's just falling apart. Crazy. Whispering Vine Studio. This is interesting. Do you have a map to know where your walking grid is? Yeah, Whispering Vines. So when you're out in the field like that, you're operating on with a GPS. And what I would do as a lead field technician is every morning before the guys hit the field, I would convert all the GPS points from a map. We're looking at software. I'm talking about on a computer. I would get all the waypoints on that map downloaded onto everybody's GPS. I'd have like 6 or 8 little handheld GPSs there. I'd get all those coordinates onto the GPSs, and then we'd discuss the day with the field guys. And so you're literally walking out there with a GPS that has the map on the screen with the grids you need to walk. So you're looking at the GPS, and your job is to just stay on that line, on that grid, and walk to each point that's on your GPS. So it's pretty foolproof for you when you get out there with your GPS, and just to follow the compass, but in this case a GPS. So that's how we would do it, knowing exactly where we had to go. Am I going back on? Did I lose chat here again? Very interesting. Okay, yeah, I missed those. I went backwards there. How much, Kipster, how much success have you had gardening at this homestead? Yeah, Kipster, there is some video out there. There might be one or two that shows my little greenhouse, some older stuff. Not too old, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 videos ago. I have built a little greenhouse. I have to keep my greenhouse really small since I'm a guy who collects water. I'm dependent on rain. So, my dreams of growing an oasis up here is limited by water. Water, I've always said, guys, there's 2 things you need to have in line in order to be successful on an off-grid homestead, living out in the boonies, making it happen, being as self-sufficient as possible. There's 2 things you just have to have. The other things is there's many things you need to have, but two of the most important, guys, and that is water. I know it's pretty obvious, right? Water and sun. And I know this through I know it's kind of silly, guys. It's well, yeah, that's obvious, but I know this because my first property that I bought was in a valley, halfway down the mountain, and I was north facing, midway down a valley. A little bit like how I am here, but I'm higher up. I do see more sun. So in winter months, guys, my last property where you see I built the log cabin. In winter, if I saw 45 minutes, half an hour, 40 minutes of sun on my rooftop, it was a lot. I literally did not have any direct sun on my property through winter. The sun came up, it was there for 45 minutes, and then it went behind a mountain again. So it was like the frozen tundra. Even when at the end of winter, when the rest of the valley and everybody else is thawing, I'm still walking on snow. So it's pretty key if you're going to buy property and live off grid and be out in the boonies, make sure that you're pondering solar exposure and water. I like punishing myself, guys. I'm a little hard-headed, so apparently, I like to haul water or catch water, but those 2 factors can be really limiting to your dreams of growing stuff. So, sorry, Kips, I went off on a little tangent there, but so my little greenhouse that I've got here, since I'm dependent on catching water, it's pretty small, and I do grow through the season. This year I did a lot of beets because I like pickling beets. I did 2 different types of beets, these orange or golden beets, which aren't great for pickling, and then I did the traditional red beets for pickling, and I did quite a bit of pickling this year. I love pickled beets. I did tomatoes and onions, and that was it. I need to strategize going ahead here in the future. I'd like to figure out growing something else and maybe some more. But yeah, sun and water, guys. If you're planning on buying that off-grid property, and here's the thing, guys, if you're willing to do a little more work, and let's just say you're made of a little more grit, there are some great properties one can find out there that people who want it easier won't buy. I'm talking about stuff that's hard to get to on a hillside. A lot of people want a flat property because of, ease of use, ease of getting around, ease of building. But you may find cheaper properties out in the boonies that are, on a mountainside. If you're out of, not in the realm of being able to afford flat property, expensive property, go look at the stuff people don't want. And if you're like me and like punishing yourself, you can maybe still find a deal. So that's a strategy you may want to consider with looking for property. But figure out your water, make sure you got sun. The rest you can do workarounds. Hopefully that answered your question there, Kipster. Family plan. The US GS maps seem to be benefiting from the use of LiDAR. Many features under cover of the thick forest are now viewable. Yeah, who knows what will bring maybe a whole new mineral exploration era. Yeah, I mean, its technology is amazing. You know, I spoke briefly about the equipment used to analyze soil samples. This equipment, 40, 50 years ago, the assay labs they used to have to do the soil sampling were literally buildings with labs with these big closeted areas with, you know, equipment you have to be suited up in to walk in and out and lay these samples down, and these samples would be analyzed. That same equipment that used to require physical building and lab can now be done from a what looks like a 3D printer or a large inkjet printer. You know, this size can be done on a desktop, you know, with a lid that you open and you put your soil sample in it, close the lid, because these are quite often they're shooting laser, and you know, they need special lids and you got to protect your eyes, but can be done on a desktop. And run the same soil sample. So it's amazing what the technology is doing. So who knows the future? Who's going to need gold anyway, right? I mean, we'll all just be, you know, living on digital money. I mean, gold's for losers. Just being sarcastic, guys. What about blueberries? Yeah, you know, this isn't a big blueberry area. There are a few. Are you talking about growing? No, I mean, you're obviously talking about wild blueberries. Yeah, there's blueberries in this area. They aren't something you find in abundance. There's huckleberries. I found the mother load of huckleberries, but it was too late in the season this year. By the time I found them, all the huckleberries were kind of dry and pruny, and I'd missed it. But about 6 miles from where I'm at, it was huckleberry bushes for as far as I could see. That just, and it takes a bit of effort to get there. It's not easily accessible, but next year I know where the mother lode is. So yeah, huckleberries. We have some service berries which are not good to eat. You find them all over the place. I only recently discovered what they were. I don't know if there's another name for them, but they're called service berries. They're not very tasty, but you can eat them. There's actually, you know, wild strawberries up here as well. The tiny little mini strawberries. You got to eat about 10 million of them to feel satisfied. You know, they're here and there. But it's pretty tough if you were trying to live off the woods or get a decent amount of foods. I'm not talking about meat, but if you're trying to live off find greens in this area to live off and nibble on, it's slim pickings up here. This is not the kind of geographic area you want to be, you know, eating berries and nuts to survive. It's pretty lean up here, guys. Where are we? What about blueberries? How long do you plan on staying there? Where to next? Random things. Yeah, we touched on this before in other streams, and you know, I don't want to sound loosey-goosey, random, but if you asked me this type of questions 10 years ago, I would have had like a plan laid out. But at this point in my life, it's really one day at a time. I don't know what may happen tomorrow or the next week or the next month. I don't have any plans, you know, set. I'm very open to change or no change. I would say I'm just at a different point in my life now where I don't worry too much about the next step, which is, I don't know, can be scary, but I'm more accepting of it at this point in my life. That's probably more than what you wanted to know, but no plans, and I don't really see myself anywhere. I have a lot of contentment right now, random, that I didn't have before, which always led to me having plans or the next best thing or the next place, or, you know. Sorry, guys. I know some of you have heard this before, but you know, most of my life has been about, you know, I see a beautiful mountain peak and I feel I need to get up there because I'm sure the view up there is the best ever. And so then I spend all this time and effort just hiking up this mountain, and I get to the top and the view is beautiful, and it's just, you know, I fall in love with the view. And it's not long after that I'll look out there and see another mountain peak and think, wow, that mountain peak, I bet you the view's great up there. And, you know, off I'll go again. So, you know, there's always been something bigger, brighter, higher, more stunning. And what I found is that a lot of that sort of behavior, quite often I was missing the here and now. It was just very temporary for me. So right now I'm quite content with just being in the moment and taking in every little bit that I can now. As I've said before, it's like sucking the marrow out of the bone, you know, getting as much out of it as possible and not worrying about the next bone. Because if I do start worrying about tomorrow and the next week, I can tell you what, I'm already thinking about gas and groceries. Anyways. Yeah, random things. Hopefully I didn't go on too long there for you, lose you in the woods there. Mr. Gas, sorry, yes, growing them, I have good luck with him. Wow, you grow blueberries? I've never, that's pretty cool. I guess they don't require a lot of watering, do they? Okay, Jim Emerson, it would seem your biggest challenge on that property is your access from the road, being restricted in winter. Not a bad thing as far as keeping people out, but certainly difficult to deal with. Yeah, you're absolutely right there, Jim. That's it's a blessing and a challenge. But you know, I did spend the last half of last winter hiking up and down here, which was a challenge. You know, now of course I have the physical ability to do that, and God willing, we'll have for some time. But yeah, it can be a bit of a challenge in winter up here. But you know, it is what it is. What are you doing? That was that ranger trying to eat the light? No, he's got a full bowl of food there and water. So, anyways. Yeah, I would, you know, I do get a lot of questions every now and again about, you know, property purchasing and, you know, what's the right property. And like I always say, guys, it's about what you can afford. Again, I know I'm repeating myself, avoid getting yourself into debt for some rural property that you want to go and be an off-gridder on out in the boonies, then having the, you know, finding the work and staying employed once you move out there to support the massive payment you have on the place. You know, consider that. That is definitely a downside of, you know, coming out here. You know, maybe you're in a retirement position. That's great. But, you know, a lot of people who want to do this haven't quite got to retirement yet and don't have the big bucks. So, but don't get yourself into debt for something like this, guys. For me, it's always been about a willingness to punish and beat myself up to you know, live the way I want to. I don't know, guys. But stay out of debt. Stay out of debt. And if you're willing to do the work and grind a little bit, you know, you can find a cheaper spot that maybe less people want, and over time you can, you know, create the little oasis and road and support systems you need. Yeah. Again, guys, you know, I've seen people come and go over the years in my, I don't know, 10 plus years, 10, 11, 12 years. I've kind of been doing some form of boonies or living out in the woods. I've seen people come and go, young couples with dreams of the off-grid and they do a winter or two, and it's just too brutal, and they can't find work, and now they're having a problem, paying for the property. And the next minute you see a for sale sign. It's unfortunate. So yeah. Where am I? I have a couple blueberry plants here in the Montana mountains. They need some water once a week. Oh, okay. So Whispering Vines, you're also in Montana. Did I forget? Were you down in the south somewhere, southern area? You don't have to be specific, but I think you said the south. Yeah, the Montana terrain as a state is quite varied, guys. I know most states are, but it's pretty varied. It's an interesting state to drive across. You're going to see a bit of everything. And I'm a forest mountain guy. I've never really done any barren terrain, dry desert, high desert stuff. No watering, just a little pruning once a year. Okay. Yeah, Mr. Gas, are you? What region are you in? Again, you don't have to be specific. Just curious where no watering works. You must have a lot of rain, or some rain. Well, okay, so yeah, we've been going quite a bit here, guys. If there aren't any more questions, we may start thinking about winding it down. Yeah, like I said, I've got a few trips planned up here, coming up here. We're going to do some fishing. Yeah. And man, I'm really, it's like a double-edged sword. I'm praying for snow and good snow so I can get into some more of the serious snow camping that I like to do. But in order for me to fire up the snowmobile and do some adventures, I need some snow. Deep snow. South of Darby, out of town. Okay. Yeah, I've driven across Montana. I haven't. Have I been down south anywhere? I haven't been to the southern area of Montana. Driven across from sort of the main route highway, Missoula through Troy and then into northern Idaho, but I haven't gone down south. No idea what it's really like down there. Kipster, you must not be. There must not be any water springs in your area. I've seen devices advertised that can get drinking water from the air. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot out there, Kipster. A lot of gadgets and gizmos and methods. I've, I don't think I'm not ever going to go thirsty around here. We do have streams. There are creeks. I do have a creek that flows throughout the year. It's just there's a lot of human energy for me to go and get it in the creek and haul it up, which I do. I haul the water for my birds and chickens. My drinking water is hauled from a place between me and town. Actually, there's some folks that have a good water well and a faucet that are kind enough to let me get my drinking water. But that's still 8-10 miles away, somewhere around there, for drinking water. But I can at a push filter drinking water out of creeks here. I can boil it. I have some camping filters. So I'll never go thirsty up here. It's just a matter of a dry summer or no to little rain through spring and summer would be a problem for me in my garden if I wasn't catching a lot of water. But me drinking water and water nearby is not an issue if I want to filter it. I mean, there's methods to filter water that comes off my roof. I just haven't set anything up. My roof's not ideal. these painted galvanized roof and metal you use, you really want to be careful catching drinking water off it and how you're filtering it. So you want to be careful drinking water off metal roofs. Mr. Gas just sent a little something for you. Hey, well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it. It's very kind of you. Thank you. Upstate. Oh, yes, South Carolina. Okay, now I remember. You've told me before. Sorry. A lot of names, a lot of difficult names to remember. And, you know, thank you, Mr. Gas. Yeah, I actually consider, I say I wouldn't. There's a few areas I'd consider, you know, moving to in the States. Definitely the Alaska coastline, you know, Juneau and north of Juneau along the coastline, where you have more of a, you know, temperate, you have the coastal weather influence and the winter snow influence. So you don't have extremes. Yes, it can be extreme, but it's not like being in the Yukon winter. You know, being close to the coast sometimes modifies coastal regions, even though it is, you know, you're far north. But that coastal region in Alaska is somewhere I'd consider if I had an opportunity offer tomorrow, just being honest with you guys, if I had a great opportunity to go up there tomorrow, I would very quickly figure out how to make that happen. Other than that area, another area of consideration is the Appalachia area. And you got me thinking about this, Mr. Gas. South Carolina is not quite there, but there's some areas in maybe Kentucky that appeal to me, and primarily for, you know, geographic and growth, soil quality, rain, ability to grow stuff. I'm seriously limited up here. My dreams of really supporting myself on growing stuff up here is tough. These being this far north, these northern states, winters are long, growing seasons are extremely short here, guys. So I kind of like the idea of the Appalachians, just for, like I say, soil quality, growing potential, and being in the boonies. You know, I'm quite comfortable around rough people that don't like to be visited or messed with. I consider people like that my own. So, but I also understand that even those regions, there might be rural and remote areas. There's still a lot of people. Very short drives to like towns and cities, and weekend people getting out into these beautiful areas. So, yeah, those are some of the areas. I know those are kind of extremes, you know, Juneau, Alaskan coastline to the Appalachians, very different places, but yeah. You know, if you look at a geographic or satellite map of the US, there's very few places now that one could call the boonies and out in the middle of nowhere. If you just look at cities, urban sprawl on a satellite map, and the vast expanses of forest that are still available on the continental US, they're getting smaller and smaller, and all of them are close to large metropolitan areas. I don't know if it's possible to really get lost on the continental United States anymore, unless you're talking, you know, Alaska and so on. I should say, if I had the opportunity, the third option, guys, and I know this might sound a little insane to some of you, not all of you, but I think, you know, areas that impress me or I find very interesting is the Russian Caucasus, that region, Siberia. I know that's north of the Caucasus, but I think as far as lost areas that man can really dwell in, you're not finding them in Europe. I would say you're looking towards Russia and the Caucasus. There's just some stunning places to get lost there, and you know, resources and foods and native people that haven't really lost their traditions. I mean, they may be modernized somewhat, but still doing things in an old school way. It's really hard to find that in the US or the Americas anymore. Maybe South America. Yeah, South America, you could probably find places, deep, dense forests. But, good luck staying alive. So, yeah, we're going deep on geographic locations here. We went from South Carolina to Siberia, guys. I mean, we're covering it. Kipster, Ozark Mountains, Northwest AR, beautiful. That's where I grew up. Yeah, Kipster. I do follow some folks that are out there, and from what I've heard, good things about those areas. Yeah. Jim Emerson, if you're acclimated to the West, I still think Idaho, Montana is probably the best for off-grid living. Yeah, Jim, I think you're right. Another thing to consider, guys, is the whole off-grid living thing and deciding on an area. Not just obviously the geographic, solar, water, property prices, but you want to look at the state and county rules and regulations regarding building. I can tell you that vast differences between, let's just say, this area of the country, Washington versus Idaho versus Montana, building requirements, permits required. I know from my experience, Washington state is a nightmare. I mean, and it's only getting worse. I mean, these people want to legislate and regulate where you poop, I've joked for many years now, guys. I've said there's one day going to be a device everybody's going to have on their toilet. And it's going to, read your greenhouse output, and you're going to be charged an annual tax based on, your greenhouse output because you have a device attached to your toilet. I know it sounds far-fetched, but, it's states like California and Washington will come up with devices like that. They'll be the first ones to do it. Building a foundation, or the limitations on the size of building you can have, permits and regulations around foundations, how to deal with septic fields. I mean, Washington can be a nightmare. It gets considerably less as you move into Idaho, and this can also vary from counties, guys. I mean, if you're in a county around like Coeur d'Alene, you're going to find stiff. I'm not sure what what county it is, Kootenai or something like that. But you're going to find far more county regulations and permit requirements around a place like Coeur d'Alene. That's in Idaho, but if you move to northern Idaho, still in Idaho, but in a different county, in like Bonners, you're going to find regulation and permitting maybe considerably easier, with less permit requirements. Of course, that's all changing. I can tell you, I use Bonners Ferry as an example, but that's an area where regulation and legislation around building and so on it's getting more and more and more, because, well, guess who's moving there? I'm sorry, guys, but we have people from other states flooding these areas, and of course becomes a tax base that small counties need to deal with, and they inevitably go with how can we get more money and make more money? They need more money, more people moving there. So I can tell you, in Montana, you can build your own place. Again, this could vary from county to county, but Montana, you can come out here in some counties, build your own place yourself. And their permitting and rules around outhouses. Good luck trying to get an outhouse in the state of Washington, or even have some kind of organic outhouse. You have to have the correct model they say you can have, even if you're out in the boonies, which is like $2,000-3,000 organic outhouse. Then you have to have plans and designs for it. There are places in Montana where you can still have a hole in the ground and an outhouse and build whatever you want. So these are things to consider when you're thinking about, moving somewhere where you can live like a free man. Yeah, this whole free man idea is just becoming less and less, guys. I hate to tell you that, but it's becoming less and less, more and more difficult. You could want it as, you know, you could want to live a simple life, to be left alone and just to go about doing your own thing, but you're going to find that there's people that just want to come and tax you for every little thing you do. They want to tax you for your hard sweat and equity that you put into your property. They're going to try and extract every little cent. And I can tell you, in a state like Washington, even if you are in the boonies, they're going to be coming after you. Okay, well, I'm going on there, guys. Pardon the rant there. Get me fired up. Jason D, you would like Joseph, Oregon, Wallowa Lake area. Oh, Jason D, howdy. Yeah, I'm not familiar with those areas. Yeah, I know Eastern Oregon can be nice. I've been down to was it Samuelson, Hood River. I know Hood River has probably changed a lot now, but back in the day, I used to be into kite surfing, and Hood River was one of the places we used to run down to and get some kite surfing in. It's a great place. Gets a little busy though. Yeah. I don't know, what it's like permitting in Oregon for rural land and things like that. How much freedom you have. I don't know if it's as bad as Portland. I'm sure it's a lot better than Portland. Mark, how's it going? How's it going, Warren? Oh, Warrior. Gotcha. Mark, good to see you, mates. It's all going good, mate. You're late. I don't know, what is it with you Canadians? Why are you so late? Wonder if they're going to permit the other animals. Wonder if they're going to permit the other animals. What do you mean, Mark? Mr. Gasgas, love to have you move this way. Mr. Gasgas, I'll take you out for some good southern barbecue. Oh man, that sounds good. Barbecue, a good southern barbecue. Man, that sounds so good. I'm actually hungry right now, guys. I haven't eaten. I had a couple eggs this morning, and I haven't eaten all day, so I'm definitely feeling food right now. Now you mentioned the word barbecue. Yeah, barbecue. Man, I'm dying for a good steak. I would love one of these just brutal, big prime ribs. I'm not talking from the gas station. One from the butcher. You guys know what I'm talking about. An actual butcher prime rib. I'm craving meat lately. There's been a lot of dehydrated food and eggs, and it's been a while since I had a good steak. But a barbecue sounds like a great thing. Deer, wolves, moose. Wonder if they're going to permit the other animals. I don't know. I'm having a blonde moment here, but I don't know. Listen, here's what I do know about anybody in a state and government. If they can permit something and get away with it, they will. I want you guys to make note of this device I'm talking about that they're going to put on your toilets and eventually charge you a tax based on your greenhouse, your annual greenhouse output. Remember, you heard it here first, guys. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's going to happen. It'll start in Washington and in California. Anyways, I don't want to go down the whole politics thing, but it just gets more and more, guys. It never gets less and less. Like Washington State has some beautiful places. Northeastern Washington. I mean, even on the coastline, Washington is actually quite a beautiful state. There's some beautiful places one could build and hide away. But I mean, good luck doing anything without getting permission from the boss man. Hunting licenses and rules are the permits for game harvesting. Yeah, hunting licenses and rules are the permits for game harvesting. Yeah, that's true, man. I don't know. It's really tough being a free man anything anymore. I don't know where one would go, um, just to be, left alone to go about your life without being micromanaged and taxed and permitted and licensed and certificates, and it's overwhelming. So yeah, beating a dead horse here, guys. But yeah, if you're planning on moving somewhere, definitely look into permitting and what's required for you to do anything. Yeah. Yeah, I remember a while back when I was still on a Washington, no, I was on an Idaho license, and I was trying to get a permit for a fishing license for Montana. And I think for if I was a Montana resident, that permit was very, very low. I think it might have been like $14 or $10. But as an Idaho resident trying to get a Montana fishing permit, and this is just for like a 2-day permit, it was like I think $50 or something, which is good. We don't need all these out of staters coming and fishing our waters, but still, need some kind of permit to do anything nowadays. It would take a time machine to get there. Yeah, that's true. Okay, guys. Well, all this talk about Southern barbecue and meat has got me thinking about maybe I'll crack open, maybe I'll treat myself to and crack open a can of Spam, guys. Maybe I'll fry up some Spam and some rice tonight. Good times. The poopa meter, yeah, the poopa meter. You heard it here, guys. Jim, Dick Pronica was probably one of the last men truly living free at his place in Alaska. Yeah, I mean, yeah, Jim, I may have mentioned this before, but I remember sitting on a multi-million-dollar yacht as a young man. I was in an industry moving, mega yachts around the world, and I remember sitting in what's called the main salon in a big yacht, and I was a crew member, and we had an off period, and I was watching. It was really a time where I was introduced to cable TV in America, and having 100 channels that I could never find anything decent to watch. And this is me in my I don't know, 20s. And I remember I hadn't been in the States for long, and I'm sitting in this mega yacht in the main salon watching this big screen TV which pops out the floor, with 100 channels. And that's the first time I saw this Dick Pronica documentary. I don't know, it was on some obscure history channel or something like that, and it's just, you're clicking and it's garbage, garbage, garbage. And I was always looking for documentaries, and I remember sitting in this expensive environment that very few people get to experience, and I'm fascinated with this Dick Pronica documentary, which was even, I mean, it was old at that time that I was watching it, but that was the first that kind of ignited something in me in a way. I'd always been forests and mountains had always appealed to me, but that was the first time seeing a guy go out and do it. And it's probably one of those first sparks in the early years that got me thinking about that kind of lifestyle. And I mean, the sad thing now is it's been so commercialized. The lifestyle itself has become a commercial pursuit, and there's a lot of people doing, especially on social media now, YouTube. Everybody and their grandma's going out and off-gridding. Says me on YouTube. But I remember when I started doing this, it was not as huge as a thing as it is now. Of course, people moving out. The history of America and politics and the movement and waves of people. There's always been this, at some time, a move back to the earth. In the 60s, it was the whole hippie movement. Let's get into our van and go and start a garden out in the woods. And so you had this movement of hippies moving out into the boonies, and I bumped into a few of them. They're all in their 60s and 70s now, that are still living out in the woods 40 years later. So there's been these movements of people going out of moving cities and going and homesteading and off-gridding, and then there's the tiny home movement, but it just seems so all of it seems so commercial nowadays. But Dick was an original for sure. I mean, the amount of I don't actually watch a lot on YouTube, guys. Not in this off-grid homesteading genre that's out there. I just don't. I know of a few names I've stumbled on over the years, but I'm not a big watcher of YouTube channels. But the little that I do see come across my field now that I'm posting videos, and I do get these advertisements or suggestions. The amount of people out there doing off-grid, and some of you guys have heard me go on about this before, but it's full of these young couples with a pretty young girl in her spandex pants in front of a log cabin, and it just looks so picturesque and beautiful, and like, we're building our off-grid cabin. And there's just so many of them now that and it's like, where do you go? Just go and do it. Like so much out there. If you watch too much of it, guys, you might get a little confused because there's so much of it. You won't find yourself. You'll be living their lives and not yours. So, says me, who wants you to watch me. It's crazy, guys. It's all so crazy. Right. Where are we? Whispering Vine Studio, good night all. Thanks for a fun Saturday evening. Whispering Vines, thank you so much. I appreciate you swinging by again. You have a good weekend, and hopefully see you next Saturday. Cheers. Jason D, later family plan. No, did I miss some convos there? Later at family plan. Sorry guys, did I miss some stuff there? Anyways, hard to catch it all. Mr. Gas, there is a sewer fee or a tax here in South Carolina if you are on city water. Yeah, I mean, I get that. Tying into utilities, there's always going to be some type of cost to that. It's been so long, guys, since I've tied into any kind of utility or power or electrical grid. I mean, I can't remember the last time I saw a utility bill. When last did I see a utility bill? Honestly, over 10 years. In 12 years since I've had to pay a utility bill. I mean, there's been here and there rental, but my own utility bill, it's been a while. Anyways, well, guys, I think we've had a good one. Been going long, and we might start winding it down. And I said that before, and then some good questions start coming in, and I start to ramble. Ranger's passed out on the chair over here. See if I can get this over here. He's a crash position. And I'm definitely starving, so yeah, Mr. Gas, a Southern barbecue thing just got my mind settled and on a food trajectory now. Okay, well, random things. Thanks, mate. I think we're going to call it a night, guys. Really appreciate everybody who comes to these chats. It's really nice to see repeating names, get to know you guys. Jim, thank you, sir, for you know, your membership and helping out. I appreciate it. And there are some emails that I've received from one or two people, and I apologize I haven't replied yet, but I'll get to that. So yeah, thank you guys. Thank you everybody who came tonight. And again, we'll attempt this for next Saturday, same time. And the only thing that'll prevent it is, you know, either there's no gas for the generator, or, you know, it's snowing and the satellite dish is struggling with the signal. So, but otherwise, next Saturday, same time. And I'm going to attempt to cut my hair. It's pretty long on the top. I don't typically have hair this long, so you might see me looking a little different. I might have to cut it with scissors, because we all know that my head shaver is dead. So might be looking like a real weirdo next time, guys. Good seeing you, Off-Grid Warrior, and everyone in the chat. Jason D, thank you, mate. Appreciate everybody. So I think on that note, guys and girls, thank you so much. You guys have no idea. Everybody who's you know, supported the channel and used that link in the description, I appreciate it, guys. You really have no idea. So have a good Sunday, guys, and we'll see you next weekend. And cheers. If I can find the stop button, stop streaming.